Hello everybody, this is Daniel Babis from Daily Soap Dish. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. We cover a ton of 90 Day Fiancé here. Alright, so let's get down to it. So today we are talking about Geoffrey Paschel and some of the insane, ludicrous claims that he has been making all over the internet in the past days and weeks and whatnot. And to be honest with you guys, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to cover this because I'm not sure if by doing so I'm enabling this behavior, but I will just cover this and you guys are free to tell me what you think of the entire situation. So, just a few days ago, Geoffrey Paschel was on the Dominic Natty show. He has been on that show quite a lot since the end of the previous 90 Day show before the 90 days. So he was there, and as usual, Dominic is talking to him. They're having this kind of like guy conversation, this kind of like guy at the bars kind of conversation, and Geoffrey Paschel decides to drop a bomb on Dominic. He says that he has slept with over 500 different women in his lifetime. And he kind of just dropped it there, and then he even jokes like, oh, is that a lot? And Dominic, of course, is incredulous at the statement. He does not believe it. He pushes Geoffrey on the matter, and Geoffrey kind of stands his ground, and he says, yes, that's what happened. And he says that actually, when he was 18, he had already slept with 118 women by that point. Now, I don't know if it's a coincidence that it's not just 100, it's 118 by the time he was 18. I'm not sure if he's joking there, but this is what Geoffrey Paschel claims. And I know, or at least I feel pretty confident in the fact that Geoffrey Paschel wants us to talk about these ludicrous claims. So, look, we'll indulge him this time. We'll talk about it, and it's just going to be pretty brief, actually, because honestly, I think he is full of it. I don't think this is true whatsoever. Come on, he had 118. He had slept with 118 women before the time he was 18. That's ridiculous. Okay, that's just I can't see how that's possible. Also, let's not forget that Geoffrey Paschel has spent a good portion of his adult life in prison. So how is it possible that he had so many sexual relationships? It just doesn't add up whatsoever, unless he had some kind of, love after lockup kind of thing going on, where the women were lining up for Geoffrey as he was in prison for when he eventually came out. Otherwise, I'm not sure how all of this makes sense. I will say one thing. Geoffrey looked like he was maybe a little tipsy when he was on the show, so it's very possible he was exaggerating the numbers for effect, and also perhaps just to get us talking about it, which we are, so kudos to Geoffrey. I'm just going to move on a little bit from that. I don't believe it's true. I think he's just saying this to kind of just remain relevant. He's trying to create this kind of like these outlandish claims just to keep his name out there. That's just my opinion. Who knows? Maybe he is telling the truth. I don't know, but I don't believe it. However, I will say this though. The reason why I don't believe Geoffrey is this. Just last week, so a few days before he made this claim, and by the way, if it is true, Varia should have been the one that asked for the STD test, not Ed. That is some serious shady stuff going on there. So if it is true, Varia should have demanded that Geoffrey Paschel take an STD test, and not, what's his name, Ed with Rose, because, Rose only had one boyfriend before, so it just doesn't make any sense, or two, whatever. But anyways, let's move on. So the reason why I don't believe Geoffrey is this. Just a few days prior to this interview, Geoffrey was with Dominic Natty once again, and he had another interview in which he claimed that, he had a few different degrees and he had a few different professions or whatever. He was talking about how he is a smart guy. And look, I'm not saying that, Geoffrey Paschel is a dumb guy. I don't know that anyone has really said that. He doesn't come across like dumb. He doesn't really come across like particularly smart either. Obviously, with his life decisions, you could argue that he might not be the brightest guy out there. But in my opinion, just judging his intelligence, he just comes off like a normal guy. However, Geoffrey seems to have an issue with his intelligence, because when he was on the Dominic Natty show last week, he claims that he has a biology degree and chemistry, I forget. He claims that he has a whole bunch of different degrees. He has a graduate degree as well, and he also claims that he is a lawyer. He claims that he has a law degree and that he passed the bar and that he is a lawyer. And Dominic Nani pushed him once again on these matters. He's like, no, Geoffrey, come on. You're not a lawyer, right? I mean, no one knows about this. This would be the first that anyone is learning about this. Geoffrey's like, no, there's lots of things you don't know about me. You know, I'm not as dumb as people might think. I'm actually a smart guy. And so he really kind of like stood firm in his corner that he is a lawyer. Well, I looked up the Tennessee Bar Association, and I have to tell you that there is no Geoffrey Paschel anywhere to be seen. So that is a lie, and he did say that it was in Tennessee. So Geoffrey blatantly lied about being a lawyer. And I have to say one other thing. In the state of Tennessee, actually lying about being a lawyer is a crime. So I can read you the Tennessee code right here, and it says, impersonation of a licensed professional. It is unlawful for any person that is not licensed to do so to practice or pretend to be licensed to practice a profession for which a license certifying the qualifications of the licensee to practice the profession is required. And then it says a violation of this section is a Class E felony. You can see it right here. You can just look it up. So Geoffrey actually committed a felony by lying about the fact that he is a licensed lawyer when in fact he is not. So there you go. Geoffrey committing another crime. Of course, Geoffrey has, he has quite the criminal past. He has quite a lot of charges under his belt. So, I don't think the Tennessee state is going to come after him for this one. But it is not exactly cool to lie about being a lawyer when you were pressed to tell the truth. So there you go. And that's why I don't believe Geoffrey's latest claims. I think that he is just on this path where, because he is no longer involved in the show, his fame is kind of diminishing. Not many people are caring anymore about Geoffrey. Of course, he also was supposed to have this tell-all, which he's not having. And he was actually pressed, I forget by who, by Dominic or somebody else, about why he's not telling his tell-all, his side of the story. And he said that it's because it's in his contract or something like that, and that TLC would have some issues with him doing so. I have to tell you, if he was a certified lawyer and if he was as rich, he also claimed that he was rich, by the way, that he had a decent amount of money. If he was as well off as he claims to be, then why would he need the money from TLC in order to not breach his contract? Wouldn't he just say the truth? The fact that he's not just tells you that, in fact, he is not breaching his NDA because he wants the money that TLC has given him or is continuing to give him. So there you go. I think Geoffrey is he's on this path where he just wants to say outrageous things to keep his name out there in the media, because it's all done on 90 Day Fiancé. Of course, he was banned, or he was just not invited to the tell-all. Let's just put it nicely, but he was not invited for a reason, right? And that is because of his criminal past, most likely. He claims he was not fired. He was not fired from the show. However, he was kind of quietly cut out from the show, which, you can interpret it in whatever way you want, but it kind of like ends up being more or less the same thing. Just in terms of some financial compensation, it might be a little different because he is still entitled to some of the earnings that he got from the show, might still be getting. We don't know those facts, but it's just a matter of technicality. For all intents and purposes, TLC has cut Geoffrey out, and they are most likely never going to bring him back, and this might be the only way that he can grasp at that fame, that 15 minutes of fame that is now becoming an elusive force somewhere far away. So there you go. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this whole Geoffrey thing? It's a little ridiculous, isn't it? Well, you can let us know. I mean, is Geoffrey that good looking of a guy that so many women would come after him? Maybe, is he maybe a gigolo? I mean, this season we kind of spoke about Ash maybe being a gigolo. Well, maybe Geoffrey is a gigolo. Maybe he is telling the truth, but in fact he was getting payment for all these relationships. Look, we don't know, all right? There's a lot of ridiculous set out there, but let us know what you think down in the comment section below, and we will update you guys about what else is happening in the world of 90 Day Fiancé tomorrow. See you guys.